The meeting will be resumed. The chair is calling the meeting back to order. They're going to stay out. We're not doing them anymore. Arlene Newsom, please.
Thank you for listening to me. I want to say, Shelly, you look beautiful tonight. Thank you. I want to also remind you guys, I was at the meeting, the last meeting where you had to pick between the two, and then you couldn't decide. I stood up and spoke at that meeting and said that I seen something, a spark in somebody, and I had faith that they could bring good things to this district. And it was Dr. Holt. I continued to get to know Dr. Holt through her years. And talking to me, she promised me transparency. And I still believe that she will give us the transparency. There is a problem right now that everyone is not bringing up, and I'm not sure why they're not bringing it up. There is an issue with the contracts. The contracts are not sustainable right now, and I don't understand why it was approved, nor why you guys approved it, if they're not sustainable. But I believe Shelley, Dr. Holt, I'll refer you to Dr. Holt out of respect, I'm sorry, has enough faith and believes in herself that she would probably handle this investigation quite well. Because if she's done nothing wrong, she has nothing to hide. And I believe in that promise, and I still have that faith in you, Dr. Holt, that you gave me 2 months ago when I was showing off our babies in the pool, that you promised me transparency. You gave me 2 thumbs up, and you said, always. And I believe she's honorable enough and that she can go through this and come out triumphantly. So I would like to see this contract issued, though, because I work for the district, so please get on that. Thank you.
Mr. Don Harris.
Hello, I'm the union president for the teachers. I just want to make sure that, this is this personal matter between the board and the superintendent. The union has no position one way or the other. If there's an investigation with accusations, then the WWA hopes it's handled as the district would as a teacher to protect the integrity, the process, procedure, and those people involved. I do not want the board to minimize what was said on Monday. Yes, there was repetition, and it was from Wayne Memorial, but that shouldn't just diminish the message. I'd already heard that this only came from one school. Just want to make sure that this is taken seriously. I know we are. I mean, there's a room full of people. And my next thing is with social media. I'm having some issues with some of the posts that are going out there. In one regard, there's a post that stated that the union supports a certain position. And I just want to be known that the union has no position one way or the other in this regard. Thank you. Hopefully those posts will be changed.
Jennifer Crane.
First, to our students, all students, you are not pawns. You are important, inquisitive human beings who have every right to question what you see if you feel it isn't right, especially being on the brink of voting age. This is your constitutional right. I am a Livonia resident, but I believe in Wayne Westland. I brought my son to Wayne from Livonia Public Schools because I believe in our district, and I am fiercely proud of the mission statement at Wayne Memorial High School. I have even been contemplating enrolling my soon-to-be kindergartner in Wayne Westland because I believe in this district. My loyalty is not an issue as a parent and as a teacher here. Any student who has had me knows that I teach from a place of love. I have not said or answered one question regarding changes in our building, district issues, to my students, but rather I have done what any responsible teacher would do, what all of us have done, and I have told them to go back to the district's mission statement, be a responsible citizen, question your leaders. If you have a question, bring it to the school board, to Congress, to state representatives, you get the picture. That is what they have done. Investigations are the right of each citizen. When one is accused of something, an investigation can clear names or confirm concerns. I teach my students that something lacking in our country today is that people are often accused of being guilty and they're not innocent until proven guilty. If Dr. Holt did nothing wrong, then that will be proven and we can begin to mend. There is no point mending without an investigation at this point. An investigation can ease the fear for our jobs, our livelihoods, and renew our strength as a district fairly and professionally if this investigation is conducted. The goal here should be to mend as a district. What is the best way to help us mend? You as the board are going to need to decide that. Your students, your teachers, and your community are looking to you to figure out the best way to mend and make this district and keep this district as great as we all know it is. Thank you for your time.
And please forgive me if I mispronounce these names. Madison Bocher? Okay. Come on up.
You already spoke.
What? Crystal Linton?
Good evening, board. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Crystal Linton. I am a person who is heavily invested in the children of Inkster. I've given my life for these children, and I fight for them on all fronts. I want you to know that Inkster has had a large block who have always been in the Wayne Westland district. My brother, and I'm 55 years old, and he's only a couple years younger than me, went to Wayne Memorial High School, went to Adams, and even back then in the 80s, we as a people, and everyone here has spoke from their own experience, so I'm going to speak from mine. Wayne Westland has always had a problem in dealing with minority children. Even in the 80s, there was an investigation, so to us, this is just more of the same. There is a picture circulating in our community of a heathen parading himself as a man of God, mocking Dr. Holt in her clothes. And I'm not talking about what we think. I have it in my phone. It's going around our community. So when we see stuff like this, of course, we're leery and suspicious of it. Every time you have a complaint, you're going to launch an investigation. I wonder if all these investigations costing so much money, are you going to say it's Dr. Holt's fault that you had to spend so much money? But I want you to know, and I'll just leave you with this, understand that we're leery of what's going on here. We see nothing substantive. These children are upset because they're losing a teacher. Change is going to happen. This school district was failing when she took it. And if you're going to change anything, you're going to shake some stuff up, you're going to move some people around, some people are not going to be happy. I'm hearing people get up one after another and say specific things that is good about her that has changed for the positive, but I'm not hearing the specific negative. So that makes me very suspicious. But I'm going to leave you with this because I'm a community activist. I don't just love children. I'm the executive director of Inkster's National Action Network. And I'll leave you with this. This is going to become a voting war. What has happened is I have seen people all through this room that we're going to galvanize with, and I'm sure there's people that's going to be against, but you have awakened the sleeping giant. We're going to galvanize that section of Inkster to wake up and vote. We're going to get with the people here who are finally open to see that this district needs change, and we're going to vote for who is doing what wrong, because ultimately the voters are your boss. Thank you.
Connie Mitchell? Matt Stapleton?
Good evening. My name is Matt Stapleton. I'm also one of the pastors of Gateway Family Worship Center in Westland. A proud parent of 2 Wayne Westland students, my son Josh, an incoming freshman at John Glenn, and my daughter Abby, a soon-to-be 6th grader at Marshall. And based on what I've heard from all of you students, I'm very excited that she has Miss Russo as her principal next year. And I think those 6th graders deserve her just as much as Wayne Memorial does. I also have 4 nieces and nephews currently enrolled at Wayne Memorial and 2 that have recently graduated. My interaction with Dr. Holt, no, not many, has been great. Our church is proud to be a part of the solution to improve the district and work with Edison and Wildwood Elementary and partner with schools and city on many events. I believe that Dr. Holt, the right person here at the right time to help the entire, not just Wayne Memorial, Wayne Westland School District to achieve greatness. In only 2 years, a $150 million bond was passed. That hasn't happened in a very long time. Don't know about you, but that's pretty huge. New roofs desperately needed in most of our schools. 80% of our old beat-up buses will be getting replaced very soon. New safety features at each and every school, and that's just the beginning. And I know you said this is about what's happening tonight, but I heard about 50 people come and insult Dr. Holt for a while, so I'm giving the positives. Businesses, nonprofit, and faith-based support of the school district, too many to name, but here are a few that are brand new. North Brothers Ford gives money every time you buy a car to this school district. RE/MAX gives $100 every time a house is sold in this school district. This would not have happened without the support and the direction of Dr. Holt, the Board of Education, and the team that she has put in place. I understand that some do not agree with every decision. Nobody will ever agree with every decision. And some students at Wayne Memorial have very hurt feelings about some staff decisions. I also appreciate that those students stating how they feel. It's very brave. However, since when do we as adults in the school board that hired Dr. Holt only 2 years ago allow a minority to possibly determine the fate of the entire school district? With 20 schools to manage and 11,000 students, there's really the belief that everyone will be happy with every decision. I don't think so. I vote for my support for Dr. Holt.
Chanel Payne?
Good evening, Board. I am an alumni of John Glenn 2009. I have sat with Dr. Holt, and the change that she's doing is incredible, as well as coming to visit my church at Gethsemane. I have students that decided to come to Wayne Westland. I myself have been in Wayne Westland schools my entire life. Elliott Elementary, Marshall Middle School, and John Glenn, and I've succeeded in all single them as a minority. Very well. Scholarship to Michigan State as a track runner. So, and I have my students that go to Wayne Memorial and John Glenn that feel like they're affected, that don't want to say your opinion even though you're here. I wish you stand up, that love Dr. Holt. There are two sides to the story. The one that I have was a great one because everything she said, she's done. So I think within 2 years, nothing is going to get done that you want done. There's been many staff placed many times, and especially since I've been here since 2009, I've seen many staff go. The board, not the board, but the district has been going down for a while now. It's not just her, it's not her fault, okay? I see teachers up here that were my teachers on the board. I see teachers out here that serve as other things in administration. Until we can get a full understanding, everything just needs to be fair. Thank you.
Rebecca Sawyer.
I don't see anybody coming. Oh, there's...
Buenas noches. Sorry for reading off a phone. My name is Rebecca Sawyer. I am a former teacher in the district. Although I'm a former teacher, I still make my home in the district. Me and my husband believe in this district and decided to move to Westland when the time came to buy a home. I originally did not plan on speaking because, again, I am a former teacher and I haven't been keeping abreast necessarily of what's been happening. But based on what I've been hearing, I felt the need to speak. I'm actually very disturbed by the church presence that's been here, which is probably an unpopular opinion. Community partnerships are indeed great, but hearing pastor after pastor speak in favor of a specific member of this school district, a specific official, to me seems to strain the separation of church and state, which I believe is a very important thing. Church attendance is not in any way relevant to the question at hand, which is, should there be an investigation based on allegations that have been made? If the separation between church and state is not honored in this way, what other aspects of alleged cronyism and corruption could be true as well? And here's the thing. Regarding these allegations, which there are specific ones, they're listed in a letter that was written by a now former employee of the district. You can read them. Even if those were made up whole cloth, zero evidence whatsoever, the things that were brought up in that letter deserve to be investigated because there's things that are of a serious nature. I feel it to be fair to all stakeholders that are involved in the district and people that have had allegations made against them. I think that an investigation should be completed. Gracias.
Anthony Gehring.
Hello, board. My name is Anthony Gray, a former student of Wayne Memorial, and honestly, I don't want to stand up here as an African-American man of the Wayne Westland community and let this be about race, because I can go on and on about how all the administrators and teachers have helped me keep my head on straight and make sure I was okay. My father passed away in 9th grade, and all of my teachers were there for me, and that's speaking from the heart. So I don't understand how people are up here saying like there shouldn't be an investigation, because from my knowledge, like I can say that like, sorry. any allegation is worth an investigation, am I correct? I think so. So, we need the truth for both sides, and I don't think people coming up here saying how, like saying one side or another is helping us, but let's say she didn't do anything wrong, don't you think that would clear her name and help the community? That's all I'm gonna say, thank you.
Okay, Paul. Go ahead.
I want to call for the question.
The chair has heard a motion to call the question. Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Neal, support by Weaver to call the question. Is there discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
you say yes?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Neal, yes. Mr. Buckaloo? Yes. And Mr. Cox?
Yes.
7 yea, 0 nay.
Those people waiting to discuss or to address the board are invited to do so at the end of the agenda. We're going to move to the next issue on the agenda, 340.19, which is a resolution to conduct an investigation into allegations made against Superintendent Dr. Shelley Holt. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Buckaloo. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Dr. Weaver. Discussion on the motion. Mrs. Walker.
Thank you, President Cox. First of all, let me say this. I support Dr. Holt. I support our superintendent. But because I support her, that is why I feel it's our responsibility to her and this district to do some form of investigation. Once something has been said and your name has been slandered, you have to have a chance to be able to clear your name. What I don't agree with is I'm not sure about if we need to put her on leave of absence. But the question of the leave of absence, where I'm at now, is that I'm concerned for Dr. Holt's safety. I'm concerned for the safety of each one of us in this community. Because at this point, I don't even know if it's about the students or the district, or I don't really know what it's about at this point. But what I do know is that someone has been accused of something and they have a right to clear their name. You are innocent until you are proven guilty. And the only way that we're going to be able to find out if she has done what they have accused her of doing is to do an investigation. We have to. It is our responsibility. As board members, we cannot have something come to us and then we act like we haven't seen it. So we do have to do that. So my question is, does she have to be put on leave of absence while the investigation is done? And how will we go forth with the investigation? Because when I look at the resolution, my understanding before the resolution came was that we were just going to vote on investigation. We have a resolution in front of us. I'm concerned about a couple of items. The attorney that will be doing the investigation. I have trusted Luskin Albertson. They have been our attorneys for a long time. But what I question is they have been involved in a lot of things, and I'm thinking that we need to have some type of fresh eyes, because I want someone who is going to give her a fair, deep investigations. I want to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and that everybody's rights have been respected. And so I'm not sure if Luskin Albertson is the people to do this, but I want to make sure that the investigation is thorough and that it's done correctly and it's not just one-sided. That is my biggest concern. My other concern would just be that, like I said once again, is do we need to put her on administrative leave. With that being said, Mr. Cox, this is not a confidential document, is it?
No, it is not.
Okay.
You're welcome to read that into the record if you'd
So I have
like
been
to.
doing my homework about this, because I have to say that any of you who know me know I have been on this board for 11 years, and I have always said that I hold no alliances to anyone but this district and these children, to make sure that they get a proper education. So with that being said, when the question of her being put on, or Dr. Holt being put on administrative leave, it was said that, I'm going to read two parts to you. The first part says, while having the impacted employee removed from the situation is vital to the effectiveness of the investigation being conducted, it is also fundamentally important to the impacted employee. While no employee wants to be placed on paid administrative leave, such as action is taken in part to protect the employee against whom allegations have been made. If the superintendent is removed from the district and is on paid administrative leave, no one can suggest or allege that she continued to engage in appropriate behavior, acted in any way that adversely impacted the investigation, took actions against the district staff in a retaliation for their participation in the investigation process, etc. Thus, while paid administrative leave seems like an undesirable outcome for the impacted employee, it is actually serves as a protection for her interests. The other one that is important that everyone knows, importantly, the placement of any employee, even the superintendent, on paid administrative leave is not and cannot be classified as being a disciplinary action. So this is what we need to understand. This is not a disciplinary action. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Is there further discussion? Mrs. Madell?
Yeah, I had expressed some interest earlier on language too, but I think my esteemed colleague has made her statement pretty clear, and I do agree with her. I think we need fresh eyes. I think Lust Alberson is a good law firm and has been very good to us as Wayne Westland Community Schools, but I think we need fresh eyes on this. As somebody who's not coming in with preconceived ideas or acquaintances or working conditions. They have other issues that they need to work on in the district in other areas as we go forward. So we do have two other law firms that have been approved that we could look at instead. And I also question putting her off. I understand that this would, I understand there are two sides to this coin. You want to protect her rights, we want to protect our school district, but we also still need to move forward, regardless of the outcome. We have to move forward, and while this investigation is going on, we still need to move forward. During the summer is the time when we do a lot of work in preparation for the next school year, and this is by no means any way that I would suggest that the person who suggested take her place in the interim is not qualified. But Dr. Holt knows exactly where this school district needs to go. She's been working at this for 2 years. She knows what still needs to be done and how to get the job done. So I question that on this document.
Further discussion?
Ms. Hines, yes, I also feel the same way as my colleagues on the board. I do think we should have another firm look into this because Albert Lust, they've been involved in quite a few situations with this board, and we want to make sure that everything is done fairly. And at the same time, people do have the right to be able to be cleared of anything, and if this is administrative leave, it's nothing of guilt. I don't want this out there in social media like, oh, she's guilty in regards of things being investigated. As a board member, I'm also concerned because we have a lot of things going on in the district. We are doing redistricting, a lot of movement going on. We have finance, we have the bonds, so there's a lot of issues at the same time that we have to make sure that we're being responsible to make sure this is taken care of, and not to mention the cost of litigation that's going on, you know, for the investigation as well to take into place. So I do have some concerns. I want to definitely make sure that Dr. Holt is being treated fairly, that these rumors on social media stop about what's going on. So I just want it to be a fair investigation.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker?
Is it possible to put a motion on the floor to separate the two issues at hand? Because there are two issues, the issue of her being the investigation and the issue of the being put onto administrators.
I would say that the subordinate motion would, that does not destroy the initial, the main motion is in order. However, we have a contract with certain law firms, and the other law firms that we have contracts with have not been consulted. The law firm that for many years, I was board president 20 years ago, and Luskin Albertson was our legal team 20 years ago, and they were doing that then. So they are the legal team that we've been going to for this all these many years, and we don't have, each of our legal teams has different responsibilities. I would say this, rather than make it in the form of a motion, we all want and will demand fairness, and Dr. Holt obviously has representation. And I don't see any reason why, subsequent to this meeting, we can't meet and come up with a plan working together, which we always are able to do, where maybe Luskin Albertson is the lead agency, but a person is brought in to do the work, or some other thing that satisfies the majority of the board. But to answer your question, I don't think the separating the issues destroys the main, so I think you could do that if that's what you want to do.
So I guess I would like to make the amendment to there's a motion on the floor, so I would make if the motion, if the person of the motion would make an amendment to separate the two items.
No, the motion's been made and
Okay.
seconded. You want to make an amended motion.
Amended motion.
To remove that particular point in the resolution from, and vote on that separately.
Yes.
Making that, where's my agenda?
So I guess we would have to do a vote on the
Making
motion
that
that's on the floor.
340.20. If you wanted to do that. If you made the motion and you got support for that, we would move item 2 to 340.20.
So I think that we have a motion on the floor, so I'm thinking that we would have to do a vote on the motion, and then, I don't know how.
Well, no, this motion now will precede the
Okay.
initial one, so we'll
All right.
vote on this first.
Okay,
I'll hear a second.
so I haven't made the motion yet.
Yeah.
So I would like to make the motion to separate the investigation from, separate the investigation from being placed on administrative leave. That's what I want to do.
So, is the maker of the motion saying that item number 2 under resolution be moved to 340.20 on the agenda and voted on separately?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I support her.
Supported by Hines. Is there discussion?
I have a little bit of a discussion. Now, with this investigation being with the letter of an employee and they're retiring, I see that Dr. Holt should be able to do her job if that employee is not going to be in the district anymore.
Was that a statement or?
Well, that was like a question, in a way. So if she is able to still be able to work and the employee is retired and not within the district, would that prevent her from being able to work?
You have to speak to the motion, Mrs. Hines.
Okay.
And the motion on the floor is to remove item 2.
Okay, the motion on the floor. Okay, that was question.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes, President Cox, I would say in order to completely protect the integrity of the investigation, that administrative leave would be essential. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Neal?
I am not in favor of removing item number 2, but I would be in favor of changing it to read that the investigation shall be conducted by attorneys selected by the board.
Okay, we have to deal with the, that would be a subordinate motion then. So let's vote on the, or further discussion. Is there further discussion? Okay, a roll call vote on the motion made by trustee Walker, supported by Vice President Hines, to remove item 2 under the resolution and replace it to 340.20 so they can be voted on second.
That wasn't the thing. You removed 2, which is Luskin Alberts, but that's not what I had said. It was the administrative leave, which is actually 3.
Oh, was administrative leave?
Yes.
So you were supporting administrative leave? Mrs. Hines?
No.
Were you supporting Mrs. Walker's vote
Yeah, I was supporting what Mrs. Walker said.
for Dr. Holt not to be placed on?
Well, the separation, she wanted to separate it, so I'm supporting what Ms. Walker said with the
I'm sorry, I
separation.
misunderstood. I thought the firm doing the investigation was the issue. All right, is there further discussion on this issue?
I'd like a clarification on what we're about
Sure.
to vote on.
Okay. As I understand it now, Mrs. Walker has made a motion that Part 3, which reads, "The superintendent shall be placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. The superintendent will remain on paid administrative leave until such time as the board determines that the concerns regarding her conduct have been resolved and/or addressed." And Mrs. Hines, you confirm support for the motion to do that?
Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Sure.
I'm just trying to-
Please, everyone, this is
It's a very
complicated for us
important
too.
vote, so I'm trying to
As-
figure out exactly what's
Hold
going
on,
on.
Melanie. As the lady said, we're volunteers, okay? We're doing the best we can.
Okay, so just repeat that one more
The
time.
superintendent,
Okay.
this is the motion made by trustee Walker. The superintendent shall be placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. The superintendent will remain on paid administrative leave until such time as the board determines that the concerns regarding her conduct have been resolved and/or addressed. The motion was to remove that from the resolution, thereby passing the resolution to conduct an investigation while leaving the superintendent in her post. And did you support that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there further discussion on that? Mr. Buckler, you have clarification?
No, I understand the motion.
Okay. Mr. Neal?
The problem with removing those is that half the rest of the resolution is no longer pertinent. If you're not going to vote on whether there's an administrative leave, there certainly needs to be no portion in here about who is going to act as the superintendent and so on. So you're gutting the initial resolution, and that's not the intent of an amendment. There should be some thought given to amending and keeping the effect of the resolution. We should be voting on whether or not we're placing someone on leave or whether or not we're doing an investigation. I suppose, if you want, we'd have to just start all over and do each item
Well,
separately.
actually, I was just waiting for my
Yes.
turn, because I'm going to tell you why that can't happen. The initial motion was made and seconded, and then I believe that you were making a motion out of concern for Luskin Alberts and handling the investigation. And you asked me if that was in order, and I said that it was, and it supersedes the original motion, because it does not destroy the main body of the original motion. And I thought it was seconded by Mrs. Hines. Subsequently, I realized that that's not what you wanted to do. You wanted to remove her from administrative leave, and as Mr. Neal points out, that destroys the original motion. That's not allowed. The intent has to be the same, so your motion is not in order.
Fair enough.
Okay?
That's why I asked you
All right.
to do it that way.
Okay, so we're going to, the motion is out of order, so it doesn't exist, but the main motion is on the floor. It's been supported. We've had some discussion. Is there more discussion? Okay, as a point of clarification, one of the challenges, first of all, everyone knows, everyone has jobs and understands what happens in the working world. Whenever there's a situation where there's an investigation into conduct, even if we know that there's no way that person did that, it's absolutely essential to remove that person from those responsibilities while the investigation is being conducted. We see this frequently in police departments. You certainly can't have a police officer that's been accused of wrongdoing and then have the police officer continue to be on the street, thereby putting them in the position where they could do wrong things again. In fact, as the superintendent herself looked at an issue very close to where we are right now, where someone who we believed was not responsible for that which he was accused of doing was appropriately put on administrative leave. Now, in that particular situation, the person was moved to a different building subsequently, but a superintendent has jurisdiction over every building in the school district. So the only place you could, the only thing you could do in that event is take the superintendent from having any authority in the district. Now, the reason that is done is, as was said previously, is to protect that person. If the employee was not removed from their duties, all that would have to be alleged is that they used that same intimidation and fear to cause the investigation to be thwarted, or damage evidence, or in some way, acid wash their emails, or whatever. You have to protect them by taking them out of it. And there's one more consideration I think the Board of Education should consider. There are concerns that if the allegations are proven to be true, and the district, the oversight board of the district intentionally left that person in the position to continue to do those things, we now become legally liable for them as well. So you might want to consider that before, in order to protect all parties involved, including Dr. Holt, who I assure you, in spite of whatever your emotions may be, I am absolutely intent on protecting Dr. Holt. She came here from California to do a job, and it's not an easy job. I've said it so many times. And she had to make a lot of changes, and they're not easy changes. And I want this thing to be done and over, and I want everybody who has concerns to lay that down so that we can all go to the football game in September and forget this, if that's the way it goes. But whatever way it goes, everyone's going to be treated fairly. So, is there any more discussion?
Mr. President, I still have a problem with this. I'm going to have to vote on the whole thing, even though I disagree with a part or two of this.
Yes.
In other words, I have to do this whole document.
Yes. Yes.
And, hang on. And I'm concerned about the message that that's sending not only to our community, but also to the people involved here. I agree with Mrs. Walker. This probably needed to be 2 resolutions to start with. And at this point, my recommendation would be to go back and to rewrite this and make sure that it's in 2 separate
Okay.
motions.
Is there further, please, everyone, is there further discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Neal, yes. Mr. Bucklew?
Yes.
Mrs. Madell?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
No.
And Mr. Cox?
Yes.
4 yeas, 3 nays.
We'll now return to citizens' comments on non-agenda items, 341.19. Looking for my sheets. Bud Somerville. Bud Somerville. Diane Cartwright.
I just want to thank you for all that you have done.
We still have people addressing the board, please. Thank you.
But I also have, Mrs. Madell actually pointed it out, if there could be more talk and consideration about the interim superintendent, because, you know, our board office, our central office is a team, and if we're trying to figure things out and clean things up, then maybe there should be an outside interim superintendent. No disrespect to anybody or anything, but that's just my thought. I respectfully ask that you give that consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Lorraine Trey? Lorraine? Robert Freeman?
Hello, I'm Robert Freeman. I'm a math teacher here at Wayne Memorial. What I just want to say is, with everything that was said today, clearly, again, there's trust issues and relationship issues that we have between various stakeholders, and I'd like to make sure that I remind the board that we still need to educate our kids, and we need to rebuild that trust between our staff, our students, the board office, and I encourage you to, during this time, as you said, the summer is a time where we can plan things for next year, that we focus on ways that we can restore that trust, rebuild that trust, so that we can educate all of our kids effectively. Thank you.
Amanda Baker?
You're already investigating, it's great.
Aaron Fahey? Was that a yes for Aaron Fahey? Okay. Who else would like to address the board? I think we've got messed up on the blue sheets here. You've already spoken?
But I would like to put some of the situation to be addressed, please, that's a major concern to students outside of that.
Can you wait until everyone else has addressed the board, please? Thank you.
I filled out a blue card.
yeah.
I'm sure the assistant principal handed it to you guys. Councilwoman Tasha Green of the City of Westland. Before I start speaking, I start by stating that the City Council of Westland has absolutely no jurisdiction or governing over the student body. We are a completely separate entity. We have nothing to do with their decisions or their budget. With that being said, President Cox, you referenced the police department in terms of the importance of removing individuals from their seat. And I would say that there are certain instances and accusations in terms of criminal activity that is actually a warranted decision. However, we just had police officers accused and prosecuted in the city of Westland for manslaughter, for allowing an African-American man to die in our jail at what was alleged due to their negligence. And you know where they were when the investigation was being done and when the trial was going on? They were at work. They were not removed from their job, being accused of manslaughter. And I will remind you, President Cox, that you are a former city council member. And when allegations were made against you and 3 others, a total of 4 city council members in the city of Westland, some of which was alleged by the community to be corruption, when you were accused, you did not step down. You refused to leave your seat based on allegations that the community circulated petitions and eventually removed you from city council. And the same is true of Secretary Mark Neal, who almost caused the city of Westland a class action lawsuit for union busting when you, as the president of the library board, illegally fired librarians, and there was a mass community outcry by unions, by the public, at city council, at your board meetings, and when you were asked to step down, you and every member of that board, you didn't remove yourself. You had to be ripped from your seat to avoid a class action lawsuit for the city of Westland. So, in terms of what occurred here tonight, I agree. It should be an investigation that occurs. Because anything with these kids and any allegation of hostile work environment or racism should always be investigated. Whether it's true or false, the conclusion needs to be investigated.
Your time is up.
But what occurred here tonight was not due process, in my opinion. And it's unfortunate that you did not remember your before you made a decision.
Abigail Finley.
I apologize for reading off my phone. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Eric Pohl, and I'm a Wayne Memorial graduate of the class of 2013, and most of you know who I am. Before we become Eagles, Wolverines, Spartans, Chips, Huskies, and so on, and dare I say it, Buckeyes, we were Zebras and Rockets. When I came to this district as a freshman in 2009, I saw staff that love their job, coming to work every day and loving their students. They pushed me to become the best person I could be. Because of them, I graduated last December from EMU and now licensed by the state of Michigan as a life and annuity agent, and I work for AAA. To all my former teachers, I thank you for that. And I'm also active in the Knights of Columbus here in the city of Wayne and a part of that active part of the community. My statement is this: if I came here today as a freshman, would I see the same staff that loves their job? I don't really think so. I would see a staff that has to put on a mask every day to ensure their students have that future. But in turn, do they have their own future? And do they have that and be able to instill that future in their students? I ask that the investigation is in favor of us, the tax-paying voting citizens of this community. I ask this investigation will show or will not show that the investigations that might have prevented the future of a student that has the life that I do now. I apologize, there's typos because I had to remake my statement, but that's all I have to say.
I had called Abigail Finley. Is Abigail Finley in the room? Your name?
All I would like to say is that I hope when the investigation is complete and in order to help the district heal, that it isn't released in its entirety so everybody can read it and nod their heads and shake their nod or believe it so that we can all come back together.
Hi, I'm going to be very brief. I'm Erin Eaton, assistant principal at Adams Upper Elementary. What I was going to come and say has slightly been changed because my recommendation obviously no longer matters, that the vote has occurred. I want to tell you this is the 14th year I've been in education. I spent 13 years in one district, 1 year in Wayne Westland, and it has been by far the best year of my career. Love the district, love the staff, love the students. At this point, all I'm asking is that a fair investigation happens. And I ask that we come together and continue to move forward with the work that Dr. Holt has set forth for us. I feel that the district is moving in the right direction, and the investigation cannot stop the work that we are doing in effort to move the district forward. Thank you.
Good evening, long evening, board. Good evening, administration. She's gone. My name is Will Miller. I am a resident over in the city of Inkster in the Wayne Westland School District. The reason why I came to speak today is that in our community, in our neighborhoods, for months now, we've been hearing things about people wanting to get rid of Dr. Holt. And we were like, well, how could that possibly be? Because, you know, we see her in our community. She comes out. She's been working to try and bring improvement and more community out to do more with the school district, especially over there where we are by like Hicks Elementary. So we started coming to the board to board meetings because we're like, well, that can't be true because that's not what we're seeing. It's not reflected out in the neighborhoods. And we hear some of the things we've heard and seen some of the things that we've seen. And so we go to the board. We're like, listen, we're hearing that you guys are trying to get rid of the superintendent. Is that true? It's something that we want to try and work out if we can, because we believe that she is bringing a community that has felt marginalized by this district for years. She's bringing us in and giving us an opportunity to be a part. And we was told, no, everything's okay. We love her. She's excellent. Okay. Go home. We hear more rumors. No, now this is what's going on. They're really trying to get rid of her. Y'all need to go talk to them. We're like, no, because we was there and they said no. But we're like, okay, but we'll go because our people in our neighborhoods are telling us that's not the case. They hearing things from the school. Their kids are coming home and telling them things. So we come back. And this time, not only are they saying, no, she's doing great, she got computer graphic printouts. This brother over here had eloquence in what he was saying, what was going on, and what they've been doing in this district. Numbers are coming up. We're like, that's amazing. They can't want to get rid of this woman. It's impossible. So we asked them again, gentlemen, everything okay? You all right? Is there something that we can do because we are feeling as though there's an opportunity for our kids in the district to turn around? We're seeing numbers showing that this is the case. No, we love her. Okay. Now we're starting to see these things happen. It's not what you say,